Yeah, the chapter starts with narration from Zhao Mei, which honestly, at this point, whenever Mashima starts a chapter like that, the anxiety just takes over because I know because at that point I know instinctively whenever she shows up, shit is likely to hit the fan, and Mashima, just what the actual fuck, my guy? Like, okay, let's let's sit down and do a fucking head count here, okay, shall we? Yes, I think we should do that. We've got Ziggy, we've got and Dead End Crow, both waiting on the planet Lindard, and now a third wrinkle thrown in, because intercepting our heroes from even making an attempt on the planet is an army of mechanical dragons led by God fucking Acnoella. Like, Mashima, I mean... Mashima, I mean this in the honest and true, with every bit of respect I have for you as a mangaka, but you are unequivocally fucking insane. Like, seriously, that's the only explanation I have for you actively trying to kill your characters with the amount of nigh impossible odds you are stacking up against them. And honestly, it's like, you are just... Mashima, just what the hell? Like it's obviously just with Acnoella here, it's further proving that Ziggy definitely he pretty much was keeping himself busy these past 3 years. He wasn't even really sleeping or anything. He wasn't sleeping on the job or anything. He was literally using every ounce of power and influence he had at his disposal in order to bring in both Dead End Crow and in order to bring in Crow and Acnoella into this alliance. Like, we're talking, like, at this point, this alliance of these three mechanical monsters is just, it's unthinkable. It is, like, honestly one of the worst case scenarios imaginable, and this truly is a war. This truly is a war to decide whether or not humanity lives or dies at this point. And I think it's fair to say any plans Holy might have had to betray Shiki might have just went up in smoke and out the window in place of just, like, at this point, I don't know if Holy is even going to have any chance to implement her own plan. Like, it's going to be just, it's going to be fight in order to survive at this point. And yeah, at this point, I almost kind of welcome Justice making an appearance, or at the very least Feather, because yeah, again, our hero Shiki and the others at this point are facing such insurmountable odds that any available ally that's available, whether willing or begrudgingly, if you're able to help, get your ass here now. Like, please, any ally out there who's willing to help right now, fully welcome to it. Justice, Feather, I don't care if you're from the freaking from the intergalactic Union Army, from the government army, and a former enemy. I don't care if you're willing to help. Fucking come and help. Like, oh man. Now, okay. So I want to talk So there are a couple things I also want to mention here that happened in this chapter that leading into the final battle and big reveal, though, because one thing I really did like that I took notice of in this chapter is the way in which Mashima had pretty much built up to just everything going batshit crazy. And all the little details he added into this chapter, it really made it feel like the pretty much prelude of a war. Like a lot of the little details in regards to the mentality of people going to war, I think Mashima really nailed. Like, it seems like when we get to see Rebecca mentally reflect on her role in this battle, or seeing Shiki tape the pictures of Witch and Valkyrie to his cockpit. Those are like little small details like that from what I've from what I've heard of, are things that a lot of soldiers do, even now in today's modern world, and not even just like a picture or just mentally reflecting. Well, those are things they do a lot, but just having that object of just having that object that a soldier connects to mentally, like mentally and sentimentally, that that reminds them why they fight. It is little details like that that really makes this feel like a war, I think. Um, and yeah, I'm really glad that Mashima added those little details. Um, but yeah, with that said, though, I do want to quickly circle back to Zhao Mei's narration because she calls this the decisive battle, making me wonder even more how closer we are to the series, series reaching its end, and that this war might, and just how much this war will end up being like the major turning point before we make the final stretch to find Mother. Now, granted, I don't think it's going to be like the true like end to the series. I think there is still a lot of ground to cover. Justice and Elsie's whole history still needs a resolution. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I think Ziggy does in fact need to kind of escape in order for Elsie, in order for Elsie, but especially the crew to realize they need their own like armada in order to truly stop Ziggy at this point. But even more than that, the more I look at all the pieces being put in place with this war, and especially the plan to call down a chronophage, the more my mind can't help but cast itself back to that single panel very early on in the series where you see the wreckage of the Eden Zero ship and that single hand holding up Rebecca's B cube. Like I know immediately after that moment, Mashima addressed it, but in the preceding chapter through like Zhao Mei and said it being like only one of the many possible futures for the crew, but I can't help feel something similar might happen here. I mean, with so much stacked against them, I wouldn't be surprised if at the very least, like the French end up dying in one scenario, and Rebecca has to use her power in order to reverse time again or something. And honestly, even though I like what I've seen so far with the crew using their ether links to attack Ziggy's fleet, now now that we have revealed that Acnoella has thrown herself into this, they have to go full power and just throw everything they've got at those dragons and at Acnoella without holding back. Otherwise, they really will die without even making it to Ziggy. Like, if they don't throw everything they've got now, like, then they fail. That's it. Game over kind of thing. Like, they can't focus on reserving any power. They have to actually just go full force at them at this point. Any kind of power you're keeping in reserve, Shiki, Rebecca, Clean, all of you, any power you're keeping in reserve, unleash it. Go full force. Like, don't even fucking think about like holding back at this point. Now let's talk about Elsie for a moment, because we see that we see her kind of reflect with her crew and say that she will kill Ziggy. Like she's out for blood, and she will likely kill or mortally wound anyone who stands in her way of doing so. And honestly, I've been so focused on justice arriving and screwing the pooch when it comes to this war that I never stopped to consider the fact that Elsie's vendetta might be the deciding factor that makes or breaks the whole thing. Like, Elsie right now feels like a woman who's been scorned by Ziggy's betrayal, of leaving everything he loved behind, all the memories she shared with him, and in favor of his ambition. And I feel that those feelings and that drive that Elsie has might ironically cause her to actually lose focus, and it'll give Ziggy just the right moment and opportunity to escape. Like, I obviously there is going to be a confrontation between Ziggy, Elsie, and Shiki, I believe. So, but on the others, but I think it is Elsie's whole thing and grudge against Ziggy that I think is gonna like make or break this whole thing, I think. Now on the other side of that, let's talk about Rebecca's feelings going into this fight, because I do like how Mashima is continuing to build upon the idea that even with reassurance from her friends, the burden of weight and knowing what her power can do, that it can attract a chronophage, is still having that sort of lasting emotional toll on her. Like, yes, Fushigi and Happy reassured her, but that's not going to make her feelings of uncertainty and fear on the matter go away either. And I imagine that this is only after, and I imagine that only after all this is said and done, that we'll see Rebecca in a much better, when Rebecca comes to her own conclusion about her powers, that we'll see her in a much better place. Like this is something that Mashima's basically reinforcing that this is something that even though he used it, he's also reinforcing that this is something that the reassurance of friendship can't fix either. It's something Rebecca has to come to terms with on her own. And and I do love how Mashima kind of reassures us that she will come out of this as a much different person than she was before. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this crazy ass fucking chapter. Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Just go ahead and do that anyway, honestly, because it feeds the algorithm machine. But yeah, that's all I got, guys. You enjoyed, but yeah, guys, Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.